All right, what's up, you guys? Welcome back to the Song Game. So, when we're talking about dimensional songwriting, part of what creates dimension in our songwriting practice is when we break the mold, when we break specific patterns. There are a lot of predictable patterns to fall into in songwriting. I mean, part of it is just you have a framework, and sometimes when we're learning to write songs, we're following the guidelines, and that's really beautiful. There's nothing wrong with 3 chords and the truth. But sometimes those predictable patterns are just something that we think that we need to rely on, when in reality, probably the sooner we learn how to break through those, the more free we're going to feel in the practice. So this week, we're going to shine a light on predictable rhyme schemes. You've probably heard this. Line 1 rhymes with line 2, and line 3 rhymes with line 4. Every verse does the exact same thing, and your chorus lands in perfect couplets. But this kind of tendency to go for the rhyme will just create a predictability in your song that your listeners, unfortunately, will not connect to. If it starts to feel like they know too much, they lose interest, and you do too. I mean, ultimately, how many things can you rhyme together perfectly? You're limiting yourself when you use perfect rhymes and when you use perfect rhyme schemes. So we're just going to break out of that box a little bit this week and talk about some things we can do to shake it up. But the first part of this little game this week is to just start out with your normal rhyme scheme. Rhyme line 1 and 2. We're talking about a verse here. Rhyme line 1 and 2, and then line 3, let's go off the charts. Get out of there. It doesn't have to associate in any way in rhyme with the rest of your verse. And then when you come back to the 4th line, the closer, I want you to do a near rhyme. Talking about imperfect rhymes and near rhymes is going to be kind of difficult if you're left-brained and new to songwriting. I know it's got to be really hard for some of us. Some of us are more linear minded, and to go outside of a rhyme scheme feels a little bit trepidatious, and I understand that. But we're just gonna play around with some ideas here and get a little bit more comfortable going off the mat. We'll start with this little predictable rhyme scheme and go from there. I waited on the porch till the sky turned gray, listening to the words you always say. I wondered if you'd ever change your ways or if I'd always stay. But do you feel that resolution and that predictability, and also the surface level content that we can have because we're limited to words that rhyme with A. And so we're having to use these predictable words to get at some kind of truth here. But let's change it up a little bit. Let's see if we can add some elements of surprise into our rhyme scheme. I waited on the porch till the sky turned gray, watching all the cars drive the wrong way. The screen door swaying in the breeze behind me, like something alive that won't let me leave. So lines 1 and 2, gray and way. Line 3 doesn't rhyme at all. It's just off the map. And then line 4 closes it up with a near rhyme to line 3. We just created something new and something unpredictable, something we are not even sure we're going to know the answer to. And if you come upon lines like that, that's a really good sign. This is where you can go to surprise yourself in your songwriting. And if you're surprising yourself in your songwriting, that's great. You're going to surprise your listeners, and they're going to be hanging on what you're saying. They're not going to have said to themselves, like, I already know what song is going to say and what it's going to be about. All right, so let's try another one. You said it was nothing, just blowing off steam. Said I was reading too much in between. The kitchen light buzzing above us, and I swear I could hear my heart in the wiring. So again, steam between, those 2 rhyme, line 1 and 2, and then it breaks. And now lines 3 and 4, the kitchen light buzzing above us, and I swear I could hear my heart in the wiring. Those 2 don't match. We're not rhyming them. However, if you look, between almost matches with wiring, but it's not really wiring in between. It has a similar feel. So we can start to look for similar feeling words that don't necessarily rhyme, and we just prove that they rhyme by making them go together. And your listener will follow whatever you tell them, as long as there's some kind of place to land for them. So as long as it's not too far off the map, but if you lead them with melody, you can pretty much get away with saying anything. You don't have to rhyme. You don't have to rhyme. So don't feel like you have to. And actually, if you're one who really does adhere to rhyme schemes, I freaking dare you to write a song that doesn't rhyme ever anywhere at all, because it's a good practice to learn how to say what you want and not be tied down with a rhyme scheme. And once you get in the habit of breaking those rhyme schemes, you can always add them back in. I mean, it's the easiest thing to do, to give yourself a rhyme restriction, but it's harder, tends to be harder to break out of them. So let's try to get out of those boxes this week. And if you want to write a song that doesn't rhyme, I think that's amazing. I would love to hear that. Okay, so now we're going into our next part, the chorus. So rather than using couplets, which is essentially 2 lines rhyming, so line 1 rhymes with line 2 and line 3 rhymes with line 4, going about your chorus in this same type of predictable way, we're gonna break that pattern too. So here we go. No end rhymes, no tidy couplets, only internal rhyme and repetition. Now, we learned about repetition last week and how you can subtly use repetition to create meaning and to create something that you want your listener to grab a hold of. It feels better to be in control of what's happening in a song. So that's why we kind of tend towards these predictable patterns. And rhyme schemes are one way where we can feel like, okay, I've got a hold of this and this is something that I can do this. But repetition is often much stronger than rhyme. So let's see how that works. I don't want to be brave about it. I don't want to be good. I don't want to say I understand. I just want to feel something move. No end rhymes, but we have the repetition of I don't want. And you feel that pattern, okay? So a rhythmic pattern is stronger than a rhyme. Most of the time, people land on rhythm and repetitive rhythm in their bodies. It's not mental. So we don't have a predictable rhyme scheme here, right? Nothing rhymes, but we're landing with this repetition. I don't wanna, I don't want, I don't want, I don't want. Feel how that rhythm is actually something that goes into the body. We feel that we feel that repetition. And oftentimes when we're rhyming, we're up here, we're in our heads, right? So we're learning about how to get ourselves and our listeners into the body, and repetition, especially like phrasing like that, is a really cool way to just create credibility and create something for your listener to hang on to that's not as predictable as words that rhyme. All right, so here's another one. Let it shake me. Let it break me open. Let it pull the truth out slow. Let it. So this is cool. Another hook repetition. And we're not rhyming anything here in the chorus. This is a really good way to get yourself into hook writing in the chorus, because you're not using rhymes to kind of get by. You're using phrasing and repetition and rhythm. And these things in a hook and a chorus are absolute bangers. This is what people really gravitate towards. So let's start using repetition in place of rhyme and see what that does for your choruses. If this prompt helped break you guys out of the rhyme scheme box, tag us at Inside the Song Game on Instagram. If you want to share a full song, your full, complete, unrhyming song, go to InsideTheSongGame.com and head to the Song Game tab, where you'll find a submission form. And let's just break it up a little bit this week, you guys. I mean, we're trying to get out of predictable schemes, so let's get into something uncomfortable, unpredictable, and see what happens. I can't wait to hear what you guys write, and I'll see you next week for another prompt.